everyone, a woman's menstrual health is crucial to her well-being and also to the well-being of her family and community. But too often, mindsets, customs and institutional biases prevent women from getting the menstrual health care they need. Menstrual hygiene continues to be amongst the most challenging development issues today, but goes completely unnoticed. That incidence of reproductive tract infection is 70% more common amongst women who use unhygienic materials during menstruation doesn't worry us. That 27% of the world's cervical cancer deaths occur here in India, which is almost twice the global average, which the doctors say poor menstrual hygiene is partly to blame, doesn't surprise us or shock us. Then why don't we consider it a healthcare crisis? It is time we ushered in the change, and we believe it is possible through awareness, acceptance, and access, the 3 A's. Proper period management is the key to transforming it from a crisis to a success. And that's what our campaign, Whisper Presents Period of Pride, is all about. We aim to bring that shift around menstruation to a positive one. And that's the topic of conversation today. How can we achieve 100% menstrual health and hygiene, and how schools can play a pivotal role in achieving this? To talk about this, we have a very eminent set of panelists. Dr. Shobha Guri is the chairperson, Family Welfare Committee at FOXI. Pallavi Arya is co-founder, Amari Foundation. Ms. Karuna Wakati is Mission Director, National Health Mission, Government of Telangana. Before we begin this discussion, if we have to bring about the change, what is the starting point we are looking at? And to give us that perspective, let's listen in to what Chetna Soni, who is the Senior Director and Category Head of PNG ISC Feminine Care Whisper, had to say.
Out of the total 40 crore menstruating population, less than 20% actually use sanitary pads. And even if we talk about urban India, that number only goes up to around 52%, right? So 1 in nearly 2 women are actually using unhygienic forms of protection, which lead to a host of health issues. And the challenges, range from just having the basic affordability for those to the well-entrenched cultural stigmas and stereotypes which have been passed from generation to generation. Girls have no prior knowledge about periods before they experience it for the first time. So a young girl actually thinks she's hurt, she's ill, or even dying when she gets her period for the first time. And across the work that we've done with now thousands of girls over the years at their homes, we've discovered that menstrual hygiene is really not considered a priority. Girls, and in fact their mothers even, are much more willing to spend on, beauty shampoos, beauty soaps, fairness creams, makeup even, and not be willing to spend a fraction of that on sanitary napkins. And you'd be surprised to know that around 70% of mothers of menstruating girls actually believe that period blood is dirty. That's the point at which we are starting.
Dr. Shobha, like Chetna said, 70% of mothers of menstruating girls think that period blood is dirty. So don't you think that the entire conversation of menstruation is centered around that basic misunderstanding, that women are unclean? In fact, it is a sign of their well-being. We tend to forget that. How can we make our girls and boys understand this fact?
Well, there is poor understanding of physiology. There is no doubt about it. But fortunately, in the past 5 years, we have seen a change. There has been more open conversation about menstruation and menstrual hygiene. So that gives us a hope that we shall soon be looking forward to better optimization of menstrual hygiene to the majority of our girls, if not to 100%, as you say, at least to the majority of urban and most of the rural girls.
Let me take that point a little forward with you. It's all very well to say that we are moving in the right direction, but doctor, to achieve a high level of menstrual hygiene, how essential it is to sensitize young girls about menstrual hygiene practices. After all, studies have shown unhygienic menstrual management practices can lead to higher prevalence of reproductive tract infections.
Yeah, I think the most basic understanding is first of all, menstrual efflux, the menstrual outflow itself is not an infected fluid. It is just composed of, tissue which is necrotic, but it is not infected basically, but it is susceptible to infection. In other words, a woman during her periods is more susceptible to infection, and therefore better menstrual hygiene will protect her from ascending infection. Female reproductive tract is uniquely designed in a way that ascending infection is very possible, and it can go to higher organs and into the abdomen, the peritoneal cavity as well. So all the more reason a woman has to be taught, a girl has to be sensitized to the concept of menstrual hygiene.
Ms. Karuna, if we are going to teach girls about better menstrual hygiene management, then lack of resources, guidance, and non-supportive environment will certainly act as a barrier. How can the government then help overcome these bottlenecks?
You actually hit the nail on the head, so to say. Lack of resources is a huge issue and the biggest impediment for ensuring not just menstrual hygiene, but the whole issue of malnutrition and nutrition and dropout of schools. If there are no separate toilets for girl child, then girls automatically drop out because there is no privacy for them, and they need to walk long distances back home to be able to relieve themselves and have some kind of privacy. So definitely a big campaign, a big program for ensuring separate toilets and separate privacy, and having the resources to have sanitary pads. All this makes a huge difference. And that is the reason why we are working on ensuring availability of sanitary pads on in schools, in hospitals, etc.
Dr. Shobha, come in on this. The statistics are alarming, and they say that 1 out of 5 girls drop out of school after they get their first period. It has a lot to do with that feeling of fear and embarrassment. As a gynecologist, how do you tackle this issue, and how can we convert those negative feelings into positive ones?
Yeah, I think a woman needs to feel empowered that she is able to bleed for 5 days in a month and still perform to the best of her ability in every
That's right.
sphere of life. I think it should be considered as a feature of normal womanhood and not as a burden. And also, it should be become a part of their daily routine. They must be trained to manage it very well. Mentally, of course, if a woman does not feel the three main negative feelings of which are associated with menstruation traditionally are fear, shame, and embarrassment, and if these three negative emotions are kept away from her mind, eventually I feel that she feels better empowered and she can live a very full life. I also wanted to bring in a point of education during the school
Yes.
curriculum, because gynecologists also have a very kind of deep rooted belief on this, that education about reproductive health should actually begin very early in life. And that is something lacking in our curriculum today, because we do not have comprehensive sexuality education built into the curriculum for both boys and girls.
Yes.
And that puts our young generation, I think, at a huge disadvantage.
Certainly, Dr. Shobha, period education is that key that it can perhaps unlock the shame and taboos that come with menstruation and can help certainly girls achieve their dreams and fulfill their true potential. And it is important that even the boys have basic knowledge and understanding of what really menstruation is all about. What are the hygienic points? So would you agree that school is where it all needs to start?
School is where they spend a lot of their time, and school is where a teacher would be able to tell you a lot of things which are otherwise not taught at home. And school has been uh, a platform where a lot of new initiatives have taken place in Telangana. So, I mean, I think, what we are also doing is through these self-help groups, we are also creating awareness amongst the women and the younger girls about uh, the importance of personal hygiene. So I think it should be both schools as well as at home through their mothers. Your point about bringing the boys on board, absolutely. I think this is a larger issue of empowerment of women, and where the men and the boys have to be brought on board, and this is a starting point.
And education is where it all boils down to. And it is through education that this entire perspective will shift from a very negative narrative around menstruation to a positive one. And Whisper has been driving this entire change since 1995, educating more than 4 crore girls.
I feel shy. मुझे इस बारे में बात करने को अच्छा नहीं लगता। कभी-कभी मुझे तो डर लगता है।
पीरियड के बारे में तो
मुझे उतना सब नहीं पता। सब बोलते हैं कि ये सब नहीं करने का, खाली आराम करने का।
मेरी माँ ने हम लोगों को नहीं बताया था कि क्यों होता है, तो इसके लिए मैं भी अपने बेटियों को नहीं बताई।
I'm not very confident about it.
Periods are normal and we have to break the silence about the periods. So we have seen in many of the schools that girls don't come to school only. They feel something from internally, they don't express their feelings to their friends also. And it becomes a bit difficult to tell to the mom also. So we do the program as a mother-daughter health and hygiene program to educate girls about periods and puberty. We tell them about the physical and behavior change comes in them. We also explain them the difference between the cloth and the pad. Girls really feel that yes, pad is more comfortable for them. Mother don't talk about periods to the girls, so we give them one letter so that they can express their feelings for their mom. After the program, they really feel that yes, whatever the myths, it really gets clear of.
जब भी मेरा पीरियड शुरू होगा, मुझे पता है मुझे क्या करना है।
कि अपने जानकारी भी मिला, अब बच्चों को भी यहाँ से मालूम पड़ गया कि क्यों होता है।
अपनी सारी बेटियों को यही सिखाना कि पैड यूज़ करें, उससे बीमारी नहीं होती है। मेरी बेटी अभी पीरियड्स में भी टेंशन फ्री है।
ये तो अपने को हर महीने में आता है, तो डरने की बात नहीं ना शर्माने की बात है।
Time for a short break, but we continue this conversation around the importance of education in achieving menstruation health and hygiene on the other side of our campaign, Period of Pride, Ek Swach Soch. Welcome back to our campaign, Period of Pride, Ek Swach Soch. And we are talking about how education can be a happy medium, in fact, the only medium which can bring about that change and change the entire discussion around menstruation, which will ensure that every girl, every woman in this world can happily manage her menstruation in a hygienic way and with dignity. Let me bring in my panelists again. Karuna, recent studies have shown a positive change around menstruation hygiene in Telangana. How do you think this change has come about?
Well, I think as a government, we've taken several steps. One is we do have what is called the KGBVs, which are the Kasturi Gandhi schools just for girl child. And they are there from the time they are about 4 to 5 years old till they are 15 that they pass out, where we have special classes on menstrual hygiene. About 12,000 girls in the ages, in the classes from 8th to 10th have been given free napkins along with the menstrual hygiene classes. So I think catching them at the right age to teach them about the menstrual hygiene has helped.
Karna, you just spoke about this pilot project that has benefited around 12,000 girls from government schools. How is the government planning to scale it up and perhaps take this entire initiative forward in the whole of Telangana?
While we have a very long way to go still, I think the beginning has been good, the results have been good, and we want to now mainstream this. In fact, we want to somehow make the availability of sanitary pads. So we are working on that. I think it is about education, uh, creating awareness all around, building an ecosystem where girls are comfortable with their bodies.
Pallavi, come in. It's all about creating awareness. How do you explain and help young girls understand basic menstrual hygiene rules that they need to follow, in fact, to bring about the change?
On ground, we have a team of volunteers and we target different village clusters in a particular area, and we target the government schools. We talk to them, we explain each and everything which is related to menstruation. There are many irregularities associated with the word menstruation itself, and they feel very uncomfortable, and then that's where we come into the role. When we talk to them about it, we explain them with the help of our booklets. We tell them as to what is periods, how it causes in a female body every after a 28 day menstrual cycle, and then how to handle them, how to wear a sanitary napkin, which no one in the family teaches them, neither their mothers, neither their teachers. And then even about how nutritious diet they should be taking during periods, why they should not be talking about myths or the taboos that are associated, and why they should be considering talking about periods more than to hiding the particular fact.
So it is certainly about active conversation, positive discussions, breaking the silence around this, what is supposed to be a taboo discussion around menstruation. But Dr. Shobha, can you share some simple tips, I would say, for young girls for having safe and clean periods?
The simple tips would be that, they have to maintain better toilet at the time of changing the napkins, and use of soap and water, adequate privacy for them when they attend school or college. That is very important, and that is the infrastructure issue which should be looked after. So in other words, the girl herself is not responsible completely for the menstrual hygiene. She should be provided an adequate environment for it.
Pallavi, apart from hygiene, another crucial aspect of the entire menstrual hygiene management is the right nutrition. Based on your groundwork, how do you really help families understand the needs of growing up girls?
So basically what happens is, because obviously menstruation is a topic which not many people talk about it, like they try to remain as silent as they can. There are certain changes that every woman goes through during those particular days, as it is a very delicate biological process. So there is a requirement of all the adequate nutritions that each and every girl should take. And therefore what we do is, when we do our sessions with them, like more on the awareness and education sessions with them, we tell them as to how much it is important for them to take a good amount of calcium, how they should be relying their diet on green leafy vegetables, which are very high in the source of iron. What they should be doing during those days is, they should be taking a good amount of fruits. They should be having lots and lots of water, which will not make their body weak. So I believe these a good nutritious diet will help them a lot, and that is what we tell them, those the parents of those girls, and including their teachers, that during your midday meals you should be taking enough amount of protein, enough amount of iron, and these should be included in your diet as well, not only for those 3 days, but even for the longer run as well. It will help you.
Last question to you, Dr. Shobha. There is, of course, a lot of misconception, misunderstanding about periods. Women should not exercise, women should not do this. A long list of don'ts are there. Can you explain to our viewers how true is it?
A very important myth to dispel. it is absolutely possible for a girl to exercise during her period. I think it's possible for women to feel as energetic during menstruation as without. They only have to step up on the hydration and nutrition, as just now outlined by the previous speaker. The golden rule is anything which tires them, they should not do. Anything which tires them. So if they are feeling tired, then it's possible that the body is asking for rest, because after all, some active bleeding is happening. So that is the reason we tell the girl or the woman that the signal is inbuilt for you. You can work or exercise within your effort tolerance. Okay. The second thing important is, whereas we ask them to be active during these times, we also tell them that their hemoglobin percentage should be
Yes.
known. Each girl should know her hemoglobin, because for some time we as doctors have propagated the concept of 12 by 12. That means they should be 12 gram percent by the time they are 12 years old. And that is very important actually, so that they don't have to face a lot of difficulty in managing the menstruation.
Thank you all for being part of this momentous campaign, and we at Network 18, along with Whisper, are committed towards driving the change in the narrative of menstruation and asking for inclusion of menstruation to be part of the school curriculum. Period of Pride, ek Swach soch.